Hello and welcome. The purpose of this video is to give you a high-level overview of CCH Access Workflow. CCH Access Workflow is a component of the CCH Access platform, which is made up of multiple products centering around a common database. The common database contains all of the client info, staff info, and firm information, and then from that singular database you simply plug in the functional areas that your firm desires. So let's take a look at CCH Access Workflow. I've now logged into CCH Access, and we can see all the components that are available currently within the Access platform. All in one singular window. I've logged in once, and now I can seamlessly move between these products anywhere I need to go. Being cloud-based, they're also the most latest version of these products are at my fingertips as well. But the main thing about CCH Access is these products not only have come together on one central screen, but the integration points behind the scenes are more tightly interwoven than we've seen in the past. As an example for our CCH Access workflow, as we key in time through the Access Practice component, that time will automatically accumulate to those activities within workflow to give us a true actual to budget ratio so we can see how we're performing. Tax returns, we'll see this in a moment, are automatically linked to each of those tasks within workflow. So if I have an assignment for a particular tax return to work on, it provides a link. Just click on the link within workflow and it'll fetch that return for me. Documents added in the document management system are also auto-linked to those tasks. So now as this job is moving from prepare to review and around your office, all the associated source documents are in tow. They're moving along with that job from person to person. And of course, we're utilizing that same client manager and staff manager information to build out those tasks that all the other components are using, centralizing everything in one platform. Moving on to workflow. When I click on the workflow link within the CCH Access Applications window, it actually launches a web browser. CCH Access Workflow is web browser based, meaning that I can use any browser that I choose. Could be Google Chrome like I'm using, could be Safari on a Mac computer, could be your tablet or your smartphone. So it's very portable, very accessible. What it also does is brings me to a screen called My View. And this is defined as any jobs where all preceding steps in the firm's process have been completed. It is waiting on me to do my component of this job. And as we look at that listing of assigned tasks to me, number of information columns that we can see here. Client information, the type of work that we're performing, current status, the start date, and automatically highlighted in red any dates that have passed to get your attention. Maybe we want to do those next. The last change, when did this job last change within the firm by anyone? Who has it currently? That would be me. And a few other things over here like points, notes about this job. We'll get more into that in a moment, as well as checklist items as well. I'm going to circle back to that one in a bit as well. Each employee within the firm can design this screen to show them specifically what they need to see for their role within the firm. To that end, I can reach up in the upper right. I can filter numerous ways of what I might want to focus on for a moment. I can choose multiple sorts. I've chosen several and here in my example, and I can sort the list the way I desire. I can also even choose the columns that are displayed. So if I don't want to see everything, or maybe there's some things I would like to see, I can check on and check off these columns the way I desire. And have this screen show me specifically what I need to see, the way I need to see it. One other comment over on the right is you can always export any view that you're looking at to Excel if you have need of this information outside of CCH Access Workflow. So this is my assignments. If I dive into this a little bit deeper, if I need to complete a job like for NUCO here, I can simply put a little check mark in there. And by the way, I could check mark several of them if I've completed several. and say move this task on to the next individual within our firm. I'm done. As I click on move, a couple of things will pop up. It'll actually define what the next step is. I've done the prep. It's ready for review. And if you've pre-assigned it within your workflow that we discussed having built for you, it would automatically populate that employee. But if not, you can also assign it to any employee right here and now. And then say save and move that. But before I click on that, you've also got the ability to review those open points, checklist items, and sign-offs that you have in fact completed this activity. Again, we're going to circle back to points and sign-offs a little bit later. So I can say save and move that on to the next employee just that quickly. I'm done. So back to our My View screen. A couple of other things as we look at the My View screen. There are other views you might want to see. We also have a tab here for unassigned tasks. If you want to think about pools as an example, a group of people may work on this group of unassigned tasks. Next available might be the idea. So you can actually have that created as well, and I can see anything unassigned, and I can check it off and move it to me. Hey, I'll take that one, and off I go to work on it. There's also a listing of specific checklist items that have been assigned to me as well. And again, checklist items is sort of a micro step within a status, and I'm going to show you what I mean by that in just a little bit. And one last one, if we're sitting here and we need to add a new task, maybe that new return that the partner just brought in this morning, very simple to do. All I need to do is go to the right, push the button, choose my client, Andy Taylor. What type of job are we planning to do with that client? We're going to do a partnership, and say save and assign that to it. So just that quick, that entire template that was set up at the originating deployment is going to be applied to that job, and it's good to go through all the steps within the process. Now let's take a few moments and dive a little bit deeper into what's contained at this task level, these jobs that we're tracking. Maybe you're on the phone with a client and they're asking questions, you need that information. On any of the clients listed in your My View, you'll notice that all of the names of the clients are hyperlinked. So I can click on, as an example, John Smith here, and it's actually going to bring up a route sheet per se, a virtual route sheet perhaps, for this job that we're performing for the client. Up at the very top, I can see what client it is, what job we're performing, what the client's year-end date is, and other information about the current status of that particular job and who has it currently. Notice, however, just below that, the tax return that we're performing for this client is hyperlinked. One index finger click will go fetch that return. I don't have to go to the return manager and filter and find my particular client and the version of the return. It's linked to the task. You assigned it to me. Let's get started. One click does it all. Now in this route sheet, you'll see a navigation tree down the left edge of the screen, and that is just quick links to each of the sections contained within this route sheet. So we're going to go through this bit by bit. Up at the top, general task information about this client, maybe how we want to contact the client, their dates, and more. Task info, further information about this particular task that we're performing for the client. If there's something your firm would like to track, there's also the ability to put up like 25 different custom fields that you can add to your installation, and you can track that information along with these jobs as well. Then we get into the staffing. Now you can do this by individual employee. You can even do it by roles if you want to. This configuration of the roles, again, is of your firm's design. You're seeing mine. You can have what you like here. And you can apply your budgets to each of those activities within there. And actually it will auto-accumulate the actuals from Access Practice as their timesheets are being keyed. Deliverables. The various states, perhaps, we're going to be doing the federal in multiple states. maybe we suddenly realize that we need to do an additional state. Over on the right, all I need to do is click on Add a Deliverable. It'll bring open a window. I can choose that particular state and say save that, and now that's added to my deliverable item for this particular client. And the appropriate dates are all applied automatically as well. You can have different delivery options for each of the states if you want to as well, and which of those states have been completed. So very granular in how we're tracking that. Points, knowledge, instructions, post-it notes in the client folder could be. Information about this job that we're doing. Not necessarily to-do items per se, but knowledge points within the process. So you can add a point at any given point in time, and you can choose what type of point that you want to add. You can choose if it's just applicable to this year, maybe it's something for next year as well. And you can add that along, and that's saved with this particular task that we're working on. Another one is, looks like we're missing some mortgage interest statements. I could actually come over here and put a little check mark in that line item and say, yeah, I need to send that off to this client. Let's get that in here. So I can click on, I need to send an email. It'll take that note and wrap it into an email that you could modify a bit more should you need to, and then fire it off to that particular client, expediting that very, very quickly. Scrolling on down a bit more, checklist items. I've been sort of circling around that one. Checklist items are like micro steps, if you want to think of it. Within the preparation, you'll see a number of them listed here with the status of preparation. It might be a scenario where if, Steve, you're working on this client, you're in charge of the preparation. But when you're doing that preparation, don't forget to do this, 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 and this. So you can delineate what those additional micro steps are, checklist items as they're called, within that particular status. So it gives me a capability of knowing, making sure I don't miss anything as I go through that preparation. Now, if I'm in charge of the preparation, and maybe this particular client has a component of their return for oil and gas, and I'm not so good at oil and gas, we do have an employee who is, I can actually take one of these checklist items and assign it to another employee. They're going to take care of that part of that preparation while I do the rest. I don't have to move the entire job to them to get them to do that. And that's why I had the little tab in the My View screen to show me the checklist items that had been assigned to me. Status of each of these as well, and sign-offs just below that. You can have sign-offs at multiple levels, and there's two types of sign-offs you might prefer. One is just a warning to let the employee, hey, you need to sign off on this thing before you move it on. Or it could be a required, you have to sign off or you won't be allowed to move it forward. Your firm can choose which method you want to assume there. Assembly instructions, anything that you want the assembler to know when they're doing that, and the status and how we're going to process each of those deliverables that we've now added. The shipping information as well, we can add specific shipping task instruction to our assembler, and we can track those individually through the process. The e-filing of each of those, if we're e-filing. And by the way, we're currently working on linking that up, so that will auto-populate with the current e-file status right within this route sheet. Extensions, when you find yourself needing to extend a return, this section will populate as well. Documents, I mentioned that a little bit ago, to where the documents that you add into the CCH Access document system will link up to these tasks. So now again, as this job is moving from person to person, the associated documents are working along with it in tow to the next person. You can even add network drive files to that as well. If there's something that resides on your network drive, you can have a link to those files on your network drive. Linked tasks allows you to accumulate multiple tasks, perhaps even for different clients. Particularly, maybe it's a partnership return, and all the various partners could be listed here. Just quick links to those other tasks within Access Workflow. If you find yourself on the phone working with one of those entities and you quickly want to review another one, it just gives you a quick method of navigating to it. And then the details at the very, very bottom is basically a audit trail of all the activities that have occurred within this job. Now I can jump and leap to any section of this that I want by simply clicking in the navigation bar. So if you come into the route sheet, it's at the very top, and I want to drop down to the bottom and see the documents, I can get there very, very quickly. So it brings together everything that's known about this particular job in this route sheet, one page to look through and quickly review that information anytime you want. And even from here in the route sheet, I can move this task on to the next person in line. The next thing I'd like to point out within CCH Access Workflow is from the partner or manager view, maybe admin view, where we want to see sort of that higher level overview or quickly access a particular client as an example. Maybe the phone just rang, maybe the client's on the phone asking questions about the job that your firm is working on. To find that particular job very quickly, simply reach up to the top into the search window and type in the name of that client. And it's going to bring up a window. I can choose my client, and it's going to immediately show me any jobs that the firm is currently working on for that particular client. And just like before, we can customize our columns of what we want to see about those jobs. We can see how many of the checkpoints have been cleared, how many of the checklist items have been cleared, and if I need to know more than that, I can simply click on the hyperlink as we did before and dive into that route sheet that we've previously seen. Another way we may want to digest this information is being able to build our own lists of jobs by our own parameters. So up at the top under the little magnifying glass here allows us to do that, allows us to put in our own search criteria. One of those might be if I want to switch over and see what's on Scott Hogan's plate this afternoon. If I choose Scott Hogan as an employee and say search, basically it shows me what's on his My View screen. It's as if I was standing at his desk looking over his shoulder. That's what's on his plate right now. So a lot of managers like to look at that type of information. Other views that we might want to create, come back and I'm going to say I want to see all task types that are 1040s, and I want to exclude the ones that are completed, and I want to exclude the no info in. Those are our bookmarks, remember, so it's got to be in process currently, one of our steps in between. I could even define additional dates and things should I want to, but I'm going to go ahead and do my search. So I can see all active 1040s within our office just that quickly. So multiple ways of defining your own search criteria. Another one is you can save your searches, as our little button down here in the lower right indicates. We can save our searches, basically the criteria for the displaying of that list, and use it multiple times. And you can choose whether or not that saved search is only for yourself or others could benefit from that as well. I have a number of saved searches here. All task in process all years is one that was created previously, and all I have to do is say go, and it brings up that list on my screen. So you can quickly define exactly what it is that you would like to see and then dive into the details of any of these at any time. Of course, CCH Access Workflow does come with a number of reports that are available as well. Standardized reports, pre-written. You can go in and choose your options for each of those reports and run those reports in addition to those real-time live views that we're getting as well. So quick access to the information with Access Workflow. The last item I'd like to point out within CCH Access Workflow deals with load balancing and work schedules. In the upper left corner, I can simply click on the word scheduler. It'll bring up a window to where I can define the criteria of what I'm looking for and more closely filter my list, but I'm going to go ahead and just simply click on search. It's going to bring up a listing of our employees and basically what their current workload is. I can see how many budgeted hours, how many actual hours that they have on tasks currently on the My View screen. What's on their My View right now, and the remaining hours to complete those. Also, over the horizon, I can see jobs that may not be on My View right now, but might be coming back to me very soon. As an example of that, maybe I'm the preparer I've done the first draft of the prep. I've moved it on the reviewer. There's a fair chance that some of those may be coming back to my desk for that second pass on the preparation. So I can see those that are not on my view currently that might be coming back to me, so I can get an idea of where we stand with, how much work each of these employees has. And I can also expand that to see specifically the clients that they're working on and the more granular level of those assignments. You can also have calendar scheduled in the future, maybe over the horizon, where you want to see what may be coming my way in however many days you want to define here. So you can see just sort of that view out to see what's coming, what's there now, what might be coming back, and be able to schedule that information and be able to find somebody that you could assign a particular job to. Another component of CCH Access Workflow is the ability to schedule by calendar view. That's typically for the audit type people, where we're scheduling on a particular date for a number of hours for an activity. That is an additional module that's available within CCH Access Workflow. It even links into the calendaring system within Outlook. So the Access Workflow module of the CCH Access platform utilizes the power of integration to bring multiple data points together to be able to quickly and seamlessly manage the entire job performance and tracking process. You'll know where every task stands at any given moment. Please see your sales consultant for pricing, the white glove implementation, training, and more. Thanks.